And just if we look back to their productivity, how they manage their time, I personally think that they were followers of the Baraka model. They were followers of the prophetic model that which we mentioned, which is based on the timetable of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And so thank you once again. Before we start, I would like to request everyone as a housekeeping rule. If you have a paper and pen, you might be getting advantage of your paper and pen. Please take a paper and pen so that we can benefit, because this is not going to be a YouTube type of lecture where someone is speaking and everyone is listening. Rather, it's going to be sort of like an interactive session, inshallah. I'll try my best so that I talk less and I listen more. And I would want my participants to actively interact and actively participate and engage in this session. And the topic today that I've chosen is don't kill yourself before you're dead, an Islamic perspective of time management. And the reason behind this is we're going to understand a bit further down the line, inshallah. Why? Because if we are wasting time, we are in fact killing ourselves. So that's why we don't want ourselves to be dead before the Malakul Maut comes to us. We want to make our life, the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us, we want to make that time meaningful, impactful, so that whatever we do within the time frame, within our life, is going to remain a sadaqah jariyah, is going to be witness for us even after we leave this world. So just a brief introduction about myself. I mentioned to you that I was a graduate of IUM in 2007, and then later I went to different places. And recently I launched an e-learning platform known as Bidyapeet.com, which is basically an open e-learning marketplace for coaches, consultants, and course creators, where anyone who have a tremendous idea, a tremendous knowledge to share, you can come on this platform and you can start your online course entrepreneurship without even having to spend a single cent. So this is basically a free platform where you can create your courses and you can sell your courses to anyone around the world. Bidyapeet is part of Jyoti International. Jyoti International is basically education consultancy firm where we provide EdTech consultancy, education technology solutions. And we also provide universities and education institutions about how to develop quality curriculum and how to develop their research quality. And also we provide L&D solutions, learning and development solutions. So let's get into the topic now, because I know everyone is waiting and I don't want to delay. People are getting bored about this. Okay, so before we go into the topic, just wanted to share with you a brief summary of time management tips. There are lots of time management tips. I don't know how many, maybe tens and dozens of time management tips. And some of these are very popular. So just wanted to ask the audience here, maybe some of you are aware about the Eisenhower's matrix. If you are familiar with Eisenhower's matrix, please just in the chat box write, yes, I know it, because I want people to interact. Yeah, if you know about Eisenhower's matrix, we're going to talk about this inshallah, but just want to know if you are aware about this. Yeah, anyone here? And then we also know about Pareto 80-20 rules. We know Pomodoro technique. We also know about work-life balance model. So these are all time management theories that you can learn, you can apply, and you can also get benefit from. Yeah, and do you know any more theories? Please write in the chat box. Anyone is free to speak as well. If you want to speak up, you're free. You can open the microphone, you can speak up. But if you want to write in the chat box, you can write. You can even Google if you want. Google for time management tips. If you know, if you find out something in Google, you can share with everyone here. It's okay. It's okay to Google if you right now. Yeah, anyone in the chat? Yes. Assalamu alaikum.
Can I? Walaikum salam. Can I say about time management tips. You are not mentioning anything from Quran and Sunnah.
I'm
Surah
coming,
Asr.
inshallah.
I think
Yeah,
this is the
inshallah.
best time management tips.
Yeah, thank you. I'm
If
coming to
you
the Islamic.
can
Yeah, I'm
explain.
coming to the Islamic
Okay.
perspectives. Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I'm very honored that senior most our respected Mr. Abdul Sarkar uncle is here. Anyone else would like to comment or contribute or speak up or even write in the chat box any theories that you know? So we got about the Quranic theories as well. Inshallah, we are going to come to that about the Islamic perspectives. Anyone else would like to contribute? This is an open session, so anyone is open to speak. Okay, so let's move on because we were actually waiting for the Islamic time management theories. There are actually few about these Islamic time management theories, and you must have come across a lot of books by prominent scholars on time management. There is a book by Sheikh Yusuf al-Qaradawi, Qimatu Zaman, Value of Time. There's a book by Abdul Fattah Abu Ghudda on the value of time as well. There are lots of English books by so many scholars. Many of scholars have written on time management. I think one of the recent scholars who have written on Islamic time management includes Kamdar, Ismail Kamdar. It's a very fantastic book. You can get it online as well. And there are courses on Islamic Online University on the platform. Ismail Kamdar himself presents a lot of courses. Especially, I would love the course of productivemuslim.com. That's very useful course. They have a course on Islamic time management. You have lots of articles in Islamic time management. And one of the models that Brother Faris, Muhammad Faris, he has shared in his Productive Muslim is about the Baraka model. So that is more related to our how our intentions are aligned with the work that we are doing, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has would give barakah in our work. And also the prophetic timetable, which is also very much close to the Baraka model. And this describes how our Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to manage his time, not really manage his time, but rather he used to use his time accordingly, and what he would do during the daytime, what he would do during the nighttime, and how he would spend time with his family, with as a leader, how he would work, how he would interact with his people, with his communities. So that is one aspect of managing time, the prophetic model. So do you know any other models about Islamic time management? Anyone is free to speak. Anyone here? You can also, if you're not sure, you can still Google. It's okay, no problem. Just share, because we want. I don't want to be the only person speaking. I want people to speak up. Brother Nazrul is here. Nazrul bhai.
Tawfiq bhai,
Ji.
is
Yeah.
there any timetable framework for companions? I mean
Sahaba.
companions time, yes, Sahaba timetable.
Well, I'm not exactly sure if they had a different timetable, but they would imitate the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in every aspect, even without questioning. Even where he would sit, they would just go. When they would pass by that place, they would just sit down, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would sit down there. So I don't know if there is any specific model for the Sahaba, but they would imitate the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the best model is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's schedule. So anyway, there are lots of ideas. There are lots of ideas, like similarly, just now it was mentioned about the Surah Al-Asr, how Surah Asr is so significant about managing time. Actually, Surah Asr, the concept of managing time according to Surah Asr is already in the Baraka model, because of our intentions, how our actions, and how that would be moderated. Okay, so before we go into time management, we need to know what is time, right? So if we don't know what is time, how can we manage it? So what is time? What do you think? Okay, this is just a bookish definition you find in the sources, in the books. Time is continued sequence of existence and events that occurs apparently irreversible succession from the past through the present. So I know this type of definition would go just over the head, and maybe you won't really understand anything if I just keep on reading like this. So just to briefly discuss what is time. Time is something that is continued, and it's continuously flowing, continuously moving, and that is our existence. So that actually indicates towards our existence. And since we are existing now, that's why we are feeling the time. We are the time. We are enjoying the time. We are using or utilizing the time. We're getting benefit or making use of the time, or misusing the time. And this is very important. Time is irreversible. So once time has flown, we cannot get it back. Just like you have studied in your early childhood, time and tide waits for none. So actually, it is so irreversible. It's so irreversible that once it is lost, you can never get it back. And that's why there's a very famous hadith. We all know about it. اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Give priority to 5 things before 5 things. And major part of these 5 things are time. Shabab qabla haramak. That means your youth before your old age. And then Allah, your life before your death. So 2 of the 5 elements are about time, about our existence. And that's why the topic is don't kill yourself before you're dead. So let's make use of our own existence, of our own time, because if we cannot make use of our existence, if we cannot make use of our time properly, we are going to regret. Because it's valuable. It's not only valuable, it's invaluable resource. It's invaluable ni'mah, bounty from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which if we do not properly utilize it, we have no other means except to regret and except to say that we have just lost it. That's why Surah Asr said, Innal insana lafi khusr. Verily people are in loss, because and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the promise of time. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr. So that's why we have to be very conscious, and that's what the Islamic models talk about. So we're going to go there a bit later, inshallah. So can we manage something that is irreversible, that is continued? Can we manage something that is continuously going out of our hands, going out of our provisions, going out of our control? Can we manage something like that? What do you think? Everyone is free to speak. Yeah, anyone?
Yes, I think we can.
Properly.
Can, yeah, Arif Bhai says can. Okay, thanks. Yeah, actually we can, but we have to be in a different way. Okay, let's see how we can. Let's see. So what is time management? So can time be managed like money or other resources? What do you think? Or should we rather? Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Nasrul Bhai. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. I think time management, the term itself is not correct. We should be talking about self-management.
Exactly.
Because time is not, within my control, but self is.
Exactly.
So managing self is managing time. This is how I see it.
Exactly. Jazakumullah khair. Actually, that is the point that I just put up in the screen, that should we rather manage ourselves according to our time. So it's not the time that we can manage, because it's not in our control, definitely, right? So it's continuously flowing, and we cannot manage something that is not in our control. We have to manage ourselves. We have to manage our habits. We have to manage our actions, our decisions. We have to build our habits according to our time. We have to build ourselves according to our time. So basically, this is the basic understanding of time management. And if we can understand this, I think the whole problem can be easily solved. And that's why I sincerely thank Brother Nazrul for coming up and sharing his views. So let's just move forward. Just wanted to share a few strategies of time management, so-called time management from the Western perspectives or from the conventional perspectives. So let's try the Eisenhowers Theory. This is very simple. I think you all have come across this, and this is very common among almost all of us. We have read about this. We have watched lots of videos. So basically, he divided our tasks. Actually, as you understand, we cannot manage time. We can manage actions. We can manage our tasks. So he divided our tasks based on two important elements. One is whether it is important or not important. And the second part is whether it's urgent or not urgent. So he said that if our tasks are important and urgent together at the same time, let me just find it. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this. If our tasks are important and urgent at the same time, so we have to do it. So, but when it comes to understanding how would we know whether a task is important and how would we know whether a task is urgent? A task is important based on its necessity to doing it or making it happen. So, but a task is urgent based in depending on its timing, whether I need to do it right now or I can do it afterwards. So if there is if there's a task which I need to do it right now and which I really need to do it, then it's important and it's also urgent. So I need to do it. And if there's something that is not important, that means it's not necessary for me to do it, but it may be urgent, then that means it has to be done within a certain time. That means I don't have to do it myself, but I can delegate it to someone else to get the task done. So basically, I'm managing myself. I'm not managing the time. Again, here we can see this very clearly. And what if something that is important, that means I have to do it, but it is not urgent, but it's not supposed to be done right now, then definitely we can delay it, right? So we can delay it. And if it is something that is not important, that means I don't have to do it, and it's not urgent and not even now. So that means I don't even have to do it. I can just delete it. So before we understand this, we need to understand about our, how we can assign our tasks. So this is basically based on the to-do list that we usually create for our daily works or even weekly jobs, weekly tasks. So when you have a to-do list, you can define whether your task in the to-do list is important or whether it's urgent. If it is important and if it is urgent, then we have to do it. We have to do it now. If it is important but not urgent, that means we have to delay it for a later time, maybe a few hours or maybe a few days, depending on the task itself. So if it is not important, but however it is urgent, but it needs to be done. Let's say you have an urgent matter, but it's okay. You don't have to do it yourself. You can ask someone else to do it. Then you can definitely delegate it. And of course, it's very clearly understood that if it's not urgent or not important, then you can delete it. So basically, this is the basic theory of Eisenhower based on priorities. So how you can prioritize your tasks. 4 Ds: do, delegate, defer, delete. Exactly. So this is very simple. I think we all have come across this, and it's quite handy sometimes. Yeah. So now let's share a little bit about the Peritos 80-20 theory. So this is very simple as well. Perito was an Italian economist. Many of you have already known about him because his theory is quite popular. His theory is very simple. He says that 80% of our tasks, of our results, are dependent on 20% of our actions, and the vice versa as well. Yeah. So let's say when you have a to-do list, let's say you have 10 tasks that you need to complete. When you have to-do list, you will find out, if you revise it again, you'll find out that only 20% of your actions will determine 80% of your results. That means 80% of what you are supposed to achieve will be dependent on 20% of the actions that you take. So if you have a to-do list, maybe from there you can find, if you have 10 tasks in the to-do list, you'll basically find 2 of these 10 tasks very important that will give you 80% results of the whole of everything that you're trying to achieve. So this is the basic theory. Yeah, anyone wants to contribute?
এখানে তৌফিক ওই প্যারেটোর বানানটা একটু ঠিক করতে হবে, PA হবে।
PA, yeah, sorry for that. Thank you so much. Yeah, Perito, yeah, exactly. Yeah, anybody wants to contribute?
Tawfiq, I think this is 80-20 that was said, but it's not necessarily 80-20. It could be 70-30, it could be 60-40, depending on the list that you have. So the same principle can be applied, like, you spend 80% of your investment to 20% of the resources. Because sometimes, even in the team building, it's the same thing. Out of a team, so you can always see that 20% of the resources producing 80% of the output. So therefore, when you allocate your training budget, whatever budget you allocate, you only choose 20% of the talented people, 80% of your fund. So Pareto can be applied for many things in our life that we do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So his theory is quite common and widely used in different aspects of life. But with regard to time management, I find it very interesting when it comes to the second level of Pareto. Let me just share here. Yeah. So there are some other strategists who think that, okay, so even from that 80% of our results, the second level, that means the another 80% of the 80% of results will be determined based on the 20% of the 20% of our actions. So that means basically 64% of our results would actually come from 4% of our tasks. And it is interestingly, if we go to the third level, P to the power 3, that someone sometimes you can make more results. That means 80% of the 64% of the work. That means 48% of our results are really usually generated from 0.8% or maybe 1% of our tasks. So basically, if you have a to-do list, because we're talking about time management, so if we have a to-do list of the task, would be very important. That would generate 50% of the results. So even if you come across productivity books, you'll find out that there are some decisions which are very crucial, and there are some decisions which would generate around 50% of your results. So basically, these are some extractions of Peritos' work, which say that major part of, I mean, just like Nazrullah said, that it's not necessarily 80-20, it can be 70-30. But the core idea is that major part of the results would come from smaller part of the decisions or smaller decisions that you take. So what are the implications? I think Nazrullah has already mentioned that it can, this has been implemented in so many areas of our life, including time management. So just wanted to share a few bit about Islamic perspectives. I'm not going to take long here because we're supposed to end very soon, but there are few theories here. One theory says that we can define our actions because, as I mentioned before, time is not within our control. We cannot manage time, but we can manage ourselves. We can manage our actions. So we can define our actions based on the Salah timings. This is one perspective of Islamic version of time management. Just because, you see, Salah is mandatory, so we can arrange our activities around the Salah timings. So you're waking up for Fajr, take a few minutes or maybe 10-15 minutes earlier to wake up and do your tahajjud and then start your Fajr. And then after your Fajr, we can sit down for azkar and then for morning exercise, get some physical fitness, and then move on for our morning routine, define a morning routine based on the Salah, based on the Fajr Salah. And then after we've done with the morning routine, then we move forward for the for our official works, for our office works. Then allocate your timing, define your tasks based on the Salah timing. So this is one solution that some time management theorists, like from this perspective, they have talked about. And this is very simple because Salah is mandatory, and we know what time is Salah. And interestingly, Salah is actually sort of like a reminder for us to connect ourselves, connect our dunya with our akhirah. And this is very important that we can basically define our works based on Salah. And there's very simple habit building technique, which is defined by B.J. Fogg from Stanford University, which is known as tiny habits. You might have come across his theories as well. It is very simple. He said that we can easily build habits based on simple, consistent, but tiny actions. So this is basically reflecting the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which says that the most beloved actions to Allah are those which are small, which are tiny, but which are continuous. Adwamuha wa in qalla. And from this theory, I mean, it just struck to me when I first read about B.J. Fogg's theory. So it said that this is just reflection of the hadith. And I just thought that based on the Salah timings, if we define our actions based on the Salah timings, it's very easy for us to build our habits. I mean, B.J. Fogg talked about building habits based on the triggers, and that's how actually habits are built. Because so if we define our to-do list, if we define our actions based on the Salah, it's much easier for us because we can remember. I mean, the Salah is fixed in our mind, so we can set our actions step by step, like one after another, and it's very simple. So that's one perspective of Islamic time management. The other one is the Baraka model, which is quite popular. You might have come across this as well from Productive Muslim. And this has to do more on intention, on how we start our work. What is the main purpose of our work? And how we define our like actions. Basically, I mean, the modern theorists who talk about habit building, about personality development, they talk about mindfulness nowadays. And mindfulness is very close to intention, being mindful about what we are doing and how we are doing that. Like these tasks are based on actually why we are doing. And the Baraka model, I find it very interesting from a different perspective. That's looking back to the history. Like when we look back to our scholars who have produced enormous contributions for the Ummah, they were actually role models of Baraka model, because within very short span of time, they have produced voluminous works. So just wanted to share with you some of the history, like giants who contributed a lot, enormous. Like you might have come across Ibn al-Jawzi, who is different from Ibn Qayyim. Ibn al-Jawzi was a bit senior to Ibn al-Qayyim, and it is said that he was the person who has contributed enormously, although he lived only for 40 years. He died at the age of 40, but he has produced more than 1,000 treatises. And just imagine those days, you can't type, you don't have voice to convert to words. You had to write everything on your own hand, and producing 1,000 treatises within that age of 40 years is a tremendous work. And people say that he is one of the most productive people to have ever lived on this world, mashallah. So these are real models of Baraka. Just like Ibn Taymiyyah, he has contributed hundreds of thousands of works. I mean, your fatwa of Ibn Taymiyyah is so big, and also his works are so important, significant. Ibn al-Qayyim, just the same. And you can name Ibn Kathir and all the fuqaha and all the mufassir. Mashallah, they've contributed a lot, considering their resources. And just if we look back to their productivity, how they manage their time, I personally think that they were followers of the Baraka model. They were followers of the prophetic model, that which we mentioned, which is based on the timetable of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And they had their own intention of contributing towards the betterment of Ummah, which is very important, being mindfulness. And as a result, I mean, time is actually not within our hands, and definitely there's another hadith which says that don't curse time, because Allah himself is the time. So which gives us the idea that actually it's a ni'mah, it's a bounty which comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to manage our time, we actually sincerely have to seek the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we have to be conscious, we have to be objective oriented, purposeful, which goes back to the Baraka model. And definitely we have to align our activities based on the rituals, that based on the faraid, on the obligatory prayers, and on the obligatory actions that have been obligated on us from the Islamic sources. So basically, this is what I found out briefly. Definitely, there are lots of other models around Islamic perspectives. And when we read books on Islamic time management skills, mostly it talks about the hadith and it talks about the Quranic verses, which signifies how valuable time is, how we should prioritize. But when it comes to real implementation based on real being, applying the time management theories, I personally find that the Baraka model, or the resetting our intention for our work, is very important, and reorganizing our actions based on the obligatory actions like salah and whatever obligatory deeds that we have to do. Like in terms of the whole year, we have Ramadan, so we have different actions during Ramadan orientation. So that's how, if we organize our life according to Islamic obligations, that would give us a different dimension for ourselves. I would like to thank everyone for being here and listening to what I have with me, and like to open the floor for comments and suggestions.
Thank you so much, our honorable guest, Tawfiq Al-Mubarak, for speaking about time management, and also like speaking about the perspective of Islamic, from the Islamic perspective. So I would like to request all of you, if you have any question, you can ask me, or you can put your question on comment box. Is there any question? Any question that comes to your mind you want to know from our guest?
Nasim, thank you very much for organizing this, and thank you, Tawfiq, for fantastic presentation. I just want to add a little bit, few more things, if you don't mind. To me, a to-do list is very stressful. A have-to list is very stressful. I should be doing list is very stressful. I think what we should have, a choose-to list. When you have a list called choose-to list, that means you have taken consciously that these are the things I'll be doing, and your focus will be less, not more, because we human beings always think everything is important. So our to-do list becomes very long, and because of that, sometimes we struggle in managing self. So I think looking at it in a different perspective, saying that instead of saying to-do list, why not we just call us choose-to list? So that's another perspective you can look at it.
Yeah, Jazakumullah khair, Nazrul Bhai. I think that's very important. And I personally don't agree with having a to-do list, because we can put up so many things on to-do list, but and many of these, as mentioned, like 80% of the to-do list are actually insignificant. So that's why sometimes, but to-do list is sometimes beneficial just to screen and bring out the best of the to-do list, and then that is your choose-to list. So that means choose-to list is basically the second level of your to-do list.
We received some question. The question I'd like to just like ask to our honorable guest. The question, like he's saying, if a student, like he's very active in his academic studies, and also he's in multitasking. So like he's not just studying, he's also involving in clubs, he's also involving programs, also like sports activity. So in that case, so like how they should manage their time properly and wisely. If he's not in just like he's like saying not in focus on one sector, he wants to contribute in many sectors.
Yeah, brother Nasim, that's a very good question and very useful question. And I think, I mean, like personally, I was also involved with so many co-curricular activities during my time in IUM. And I personally think what we learn from the books, what we learn from the classes is actually just like 20 is going to contribute to 20% of our lives, but 80% of the results would come from life skills that we learned from co-curricular activities, whether it's a communication skill, whether it's a debating skill, or whether whatever skill it is, we have to build our skills. So basically, as you mentioned, managing time, actually managing time is just a part of our habit. But once we are at a higher level of managing time, that means when we have been able to continuously manage ourselves with accordance to our time, then it becomes habit. So that's why it's part of the habit building. It's part of our personality development. And that is because, I mean, if we can manage ourselves, and definitely we need to build good habits to manage ourselves. Like we need to know exactly what to do and how to do. That's where the time management comes in, as you call it. So multitasking, or whether being involved with co-curricular activities, being involved with social clubs, that's very important, but it does not necessarily mean that you have to contradict with your studies. But definitely when it comes to creating a balance between what to do and what not to do, then definitely you can use the formula of, you can use which comes as more important, like prioritization, and you don't have to miss your classes to get into social activities because your priority is your classes, right? And I think if I get your questions clearly, it's like how you are going to manage your time with co-curricular activities and your classroom timing. So I think it's very simple that you have to set your priorities, you have to set your purpose, you have to set your what you want to achieve from here. So once your priorities are set, then time management would become a very easy task. And once you are used to managing your time, it becomes habit. So you don't even have to consciously consider what to do and what not to do.
All right, thank you so much. And another question that is like, if the question is something if anyone is assigned a big project, like how would he make sure to complete like on time? Like big project, that is also important. Like that is also very prioritized, and also like according to his study academic expectation, that also very important. But big project I mean any conference that is held in overseas, Malaysia, overseas, in overseas. So like how would he give the priority, and what should be considered less or more? So because for him or for this friend, both are very important. So in that case, like which should be the more priority?
I think I didn't get your questions probably, but what I understood is if someone has a bigger project, that's a final year project, for example, is that what you meant? And then how he's going to manage his time, or maybe presenting a paper at a conference outside Malaysia?
Yeah, I mean the presenting a paper outside Malaysia.
Yeah, so let's say if someone has to present a paper outside Malaysia, so definitely it doesn't happen overnight. He would have to prepare for the paper. So it takes some time, around 2 months or 3 months, or maybe longer, depending on how skilled he is in writing the paper. So, and once his paper is accepted, then he already knows beforehand, at least few weeks before, when he's going to travel. So it's not very, it's not something that just happened overnight. So definitely he would be given prior notice and he would be given enough time to manage his tasks according to the time. So that shouldn't be something that just emerged suddenly and interrupt his actions, interrupt his day-to-day tasks.
We have one more question. The question asked by Aksa. So he said mention about energy management. What is your opinion about it in terms of how to customize your energy? I think you can see the question.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Aska. Yeah, Askarini from Jakarta. Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, yeah, your question is about the energy management. That's we didn't actually mention in details about the energy management, but that's part of the prophetic timetable, the prophetic model, which mentions that when you are most energetic, usually the early hours of the day, we are most energetic, and so we can get the most productive things to be done early hours of the day. And also when it comes to the Salah model, the defining your activities based on the Salah. So after every Salah, usually after every prayers, we are re-energized. So we can set our most like the priority activities immediately after the Salah when we are refreshed, rejuvenated, or re-energized, so that we get the best out of our time. We have not mentioned this in the slide, but it is part of the prophetic model and the Baraka model that we've mentioned.
All right.
Does Brother Arafat has raised a question? Raised his hand, Brother Arafat.
Yes, Brother Arafat Rahman.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, actually, I'm sorry, I joined a little late, very late actually. I missed the main part. I think I will watch the Facebook recording, I mean, video on the Facebook. It is being live, right? Okay, so my question is not related to time management, actually. It's related to time management, but it's more like how like it could be, can you give some tips from your life maybe that, for example, I'm giving time for some people, someone, but most of the people expect more time from me. Like, for example, if someone is a little bit like kind of jack, I think you can understand like what does it mean? Like jack means like so many people are connected to the same person. So everyone request or maybe expect more time from that guy. This like, so how we can like avoid or like avoid to give more time that person. Like I cannot hurt him or her, that if I say like I don't have time, then they might think wrong. So do you have any like life tips on this matter?
Yeah, thank you so much, Brother Arafat. He's from Turkey. So
yeah, I'm from Turkey.
Yeah. So just wanted to share with you, it's very simple. We have to learn the skills of saying no. If you're occupied with so many tasks, if you know that you don't have time to spare, so you should be very straightforward and very humbly be able to say no, that I cannot do it now, but I can do it on certain time later when I'm free. So if he agrees, definitely you can do it at a later time because you have agreed on a mutual date and time. But if definitely someone cannot force you to do something beyond your means. That's why, I mean, here comes the role of communication, how effectively you can communicate with the other person, how effectively you can tell him that what are your tasks and what you can do and what you cannot do. Of course, I mean, Allah does not burden anyone beyond his capacity. So you should be able to learn the skills of saying no. Many thanks, Nazrul Bhai, for your comment. Yeah, actually what happens to most of us is that we are very shy to say no. And at the end, we suffer because of that. So we should be very straightforward, very clear cut. If we can't do something, then we should be able to say no. And I think we have a comment here from Brother Abdul Hanan. He says Johari model help for time management. Actually, I'm not very familiar with the Johari model. If anyone is familiar here, maybe you can share.
I think he mentioned Ibn al-Jawzi model, maybe.
I'm not sure. Just wanted to add, you see, during those historic days of Islam, when on the 4th century Hijrah, 5th century Hijrah, when there were lots of scholars of hadith, of fiqh, of tafsir. See, if you ask them what was their time management tips, maybe they'll just look at you and they just say they followed the sunnah. Very simple. So actually, only nowadays we have started complicating our life with so many jargons, so many titles, so many terms, terminologies. But the simplest way to live a life is follow the sunnah. And because the role model is himself, right? Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has already laid down the role model, and he's the best of the creation. And definitely what he has done is the best option for us, because we can just imitate him. By imitating him, we are being a better version of ourselves. At the same time, we're also earning the reward, the ajr of following the sunnah. So it's like always we are on the winner side. Yeah, anyone
has any question?
Okay, thank you, Nasim. It's just not like a question, just sharing something. I saw a book, mainly the book title is I have 25 hours a day. That time I didn't read the full book, read several pages maybe. Is it possible to make 25 hours a day? We know the 24 hours a day. So how is this possible, 25 hours a day?
Yeah, actually what he meant was his productivity is higher than our productivity. So basically he produces more things, that he produces more compared to others. So it's about how effectively he does his work and how effectively he gets result out of his work.
Yes. Sorry, this book written by Professor Daud Bakr.
Daud Bakr, yeah.
Daud Bakr, yes.
He read a book. He also wrote a book on. He also wrote a book on Sharia minds. So it's all about mindset. If you can learn the skills of controlling your mind, you'll be able to learn how to control yourself with accordance to time, and also you can be able to build like great habits, enormous habits, and you can easily transform yourself, not only yourself but also people around you. So it's all about mindset. The modern science talks about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which is very important. I'm personally very interested about this, and I'm also trying to develop few courses on this as well. NLP, I'm trying to learn about it as well. And whatever we talk about, habits, time management, all these are part of like NLP, or related to neuro-linguistic programming, related to mind power, how you can control your mind. So that's why I said I have 25 hours a day. That means it's like productivity. He's more productive than other people. Nobody has 25 hours a day. Everybody has 24 hours a day. But like the result they get is enormous.
Yes, he gave an example. Like when we fly to travel another country, so we can manage the time and we can produce this time. We can use this time properly in our life. So, and we look the chat box. Brother Nias there's some questions here. Please highlight about your idea of, says Ismail Kamdar, about time management. Number 2, have you invented that term with the this is 2 questions here.
Yeah, so with related to Ismail Kamdar, I will just suggest that you can find his book online. It's available online. You can just read it. It's a very small book, and because it's already small itself, and I don't want to summarize it further. It's very simple, just following the Sunnah and following. He gave out some time management graphs which you can follow yourself, and it's very simple. You can just get the book and read it. I think I have a copy. If I am available, if I have your email address, I can send the copy to you. And the second term, yeah, it's an innovation. The term Bidyapeet is an innovation. So I just put up the word so that I want to start a communication, start talking to you about Bidyapeet. Yeah. So if we want to, before we finish, I had a small task for everyone. That is very simple. If you have paper and pen, maybe you can write down. Just write down 3 words that define you. That means how would you like yourself to be known as? 3 words, just 3 characters, maybe 3 definitions, 3 adjectives. You know, like for example, the Prophet ﷺ was given so many names, so many adjectives. So just like that, like how would you want people to know you? Or what values do you want to create in yourself? Like the top 3 values, top 3 qualities that you want to develop. Let's say, for example, it can be visionary, it can be like ihsan, it can be caring, it can be brotherly, it can be anything. Just write down 3 words that define yourself. 3 words: confident, impactful, honest, truthful. Yeah, well done. Collaboration, passion, optimism. Thank you so much. Yeah. So yeah, you can write it down on your notepad, on your phone, on your papers, whatever it is. Just write down 3 adjectives that you want people to know you with. And now the second step is very simple. That is, take your phone and then put an alarm 3 times a day. It can be any time. It can be early in the morning or midday, at late night. Put 3 times a day, put the alarm to remind yourself that you are these 3 words, you are these 3 adjectives. So it can be any time in the daytime, 24 hours, it can be any time, but 3 times a day. Put an alarm and write a note about that alarm, yeah, with these 3 words. Just copy the 3 words and paste it there, and let it happen every day. So your phone will be ringing every day at exactly the same time, reminding you that you are honest, you are truthful, you're helpful, you're collaborative, you're passionate, you're optimistic, you're visionary, you are whatever you are. Cooperation, soft behavior, truthfulness. Yeah. So write down these 3 words and set an alarm for every day, 3 times a day.
So
Very
it's
simple
possible to relate any time with any qualities or whatever. Is it possible to relate any time with any quality, like truthful?
Being timely itself is a quality. Being disciplined, related to time. Let's say you're committed, you're sincere, you're what do you call it? Like you're fulfilling. When it comes to commitment, you're fulfilling. You're very timely. You're not late. You're very disciplined. All these are qualities related to time.
Yes, but not what we have mentioned here, like truthful, honest, something like this, or passionate. Of course, you can relate passionate with right time. Like if you are passionate.
These qualities does not necessarily have to be related to time, but when these qualities are appearing in front of your screen timely every day, 3 times a day, then you are utilizing your time to become that person. It's not necessary that you have to have an adjective related to time, because we're talking about time management, but we are utilizing the time, the resource that we already have, so that we can become a better version of ourselves.
I'd like to add something here, like getting to Brother Niaz Maktoum. So he said like discipline, how come it like lead to the time, right? So I have stated one survey, like on writer, he wrote in his books, there's like Stephen Covey, he said like those people in the past, those who became successful, those who are recognized by the people, by the world. So what they had, what was their attribution? He said just 2-3 like quality they had. Number one, like they said, he said actually they were very optimistic, and also they were like accepting failure. Like they easily accept their failure and then they move on. They don't like stay with their failure. And second of all, they said like they were very disciplined. So discipline how? They said like they are very disciplined, like they have control on their self. They know like they have a lot of money, like those who are billionaire or those who are like successful in the past. Even if we say like Prophet and the Sahaba. So they could do anything. They had the ability to do anything, right? But they lead their life with values, and that actually triggered them not to do whatever they want, like not to do anything. So it means like if you have control, like if I give the example, eating too much sugar is like very bad for our health, right? So once we eat, or once we like just go like anywhere for dinner or for lunch, so if we see delicious food, but then we don't have control on our process, so we just like eat without knowing anything. So they say those who are like successful, they have control, even though that is like very simple issue. They have control, like eating, like sleeping at night very early. That is completely scientifically and also like Islamically is like very like encouraged. Like sleeping early is really good for health. Like not to have a lot of stress. But people, they using social media. Why? Because they don't have control on himself. So that's why they said like how you want to bring control yourself. They said if you want to bring control on yourself, then you just need to know like purpose what you're doing. Like we're watching football game at 3 a.m. 2 a.m. So what is the purpose? So if we know the purpose, what we are doing, then maybe we can lead ourselves with values, and also with like time management. Time management is something I feel like if someone like lead himself with principle, values, and like justice, fairness, everything like he maintain in his life, and also student life, and also any like in his life. So he automatically, I think the time management will be okay, because he is leading himself with values. So that's like what he said. The discipline is the main core principle being successful. So discipline is like completely related to the time. So that's what actually I want to share.
Thank you.
One more thing I want to share, that actually our success and failure, the root cause of it is not an environment, rather the choice that we make. So as long as you're making the correct choices, and choices doesn't need to be a big choice, a very, very small choice you do consistently over the time that become compounded over. So this is called the compound effect. So many a time we always blame the environment for our success or failure. But you can see in a family of 5 kids, 1 kid is doing very well, other 4 are not. So they are sharing the same environment. Why 1 kid is doing very well? Because the choices he makes is different than the other 4 kids. So that's the point. So as long as I make a productive choices all the time, then that means I'm managing self properly, isn't it? I think, the Steve Jobs, one of his legendary speech, he talked about on death in Stanford University convocation ceremony. He said, 33 years he's remembering death so that he can make the correct choices every day. So that's the point. Actually, we always, blame others. We always blame the environment, but we never think, am I making the correct choice on a daily basis or not?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Nasrullah, I think what you've mentioned is very important. By making the right choice actually is dependent on our awareness, our mindfulness, or our how growth mindset we have, how much growth mindset we have, like how is our mindset built. So by continuously making choice, that means we are developing habits. So choice leads us to developing habits, and the habits build our personality. That's very important, and I think you mentioned very correctly that I mean, choices are part of our ourselves. Like the way we choose to be is actually what we are.
Yeah. So thank you so much, all of our participants and also our honorable guest, Tawfiq Al-Mubarak, for joining our session.
Just wanted to introduce our brother Nazrul Islam. He's actually a very popular alumni of IUM. Nazrul Bhai studied in IUM during the 90s. I think you graduated in 96 or 97, is it, Nazrul Bhai?
Yeah, I graduated in 96, then I did my master's in 1999.
Oh,
I worked
mashallah.
3 years also in the research center.
Mashallah.
So my 10 years in Malaysia, that's long time.
Mashallah. And he's currently in Australia. He's leading IPDC.
All right. Thank you so much for joining Nazrul Pramanik Bhai for us. We'll be like doing this kind of program in every month. We are planning to do this kind of program every month about different topics, so that we lead the student to know what should be done, not just like by academically, and also like academic excellence actually without fairness, justice, and ethics, morality. Actually, it's not that much important. It's not that much impactful to the nation or to the country. So we're trying to make a program that will make awareness to the student, to the people. So we really appreciate your presence in our program. So and also I also thank our chief guest, Tawfiq Al-Mubarak, for giving us time. And from this actually maybe after a long time, this is the first program. So if there is any error, please forgive us. We will improve our program and time schedule, everything. And also lastly, I just want to say about time. Anthony Robinson, the American novelist, he said, wherever your focus goes, your time and flows goes. Like wherever your focus and your time and flows goes. So if we focus on something, our time and our energy flows. So it means like the time we don't have control. So if we give the focus to something that is like the purpose of that focusing is like related to beyond this dunya. So I think then we can be successful in this dunya and also akhirah. So thank you so much for joining us. I thank you again. I will stop the program here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.